response on that story. We're joined now in the studio in Cape Town by the Premier of the Western Cape and DA leader Helen Zille. Good morning, Mrs. Zille, and thank you very much for your time. Just on that story on sanitation, are you providing sanitation facilities to the people of the Western Cape at the right level?
Dan, you know, Connie September is a bit of a hoot. She should just take a look at Stats SA and at the census statistics, and then she will see that in the Western Cape, over 90% of the residents have flushing toilets to the absolute full standard, despite the fact that the population of the Western Cape grew by 30% in 10 years. More than 90%. The average around the rest of the country is 62%, and in Limpopo it's 22%. In Limpopo, for example, the number of people who use unventilated pit latrines, which is the very worst form of sanitation, is over 50%, and it has grown since the last census. So the bottom line is this: Connie September does not know what she is talking about. She says that the national government is going to put flushing communal toilets in informal settlements. If she would take a look, she'll see that they're already there. Many informal settlements have full flush public toilets, but what we gave was the portable flush toilet in addition, because people said they were scared of going out at night to the fully flushed communal toilets, and so we gave them additional home portable flush toilets, which 17,000 people wanted to have. They asked for them. No one is forced to have them. We said this is an additional option. It is not the only option. It is an additional option if you want them.
Okay, now
so
why,
no one's forced to have them.
Okay, Mrs. Zille, why is it therefore that we keep on having this protest in some of the townships, especially around Cape Town, around the issue of portable toilets, and people say, give us proper flushing toilets? Why this matter keeps on coming up? It's been going around for quite some time now, and it doesn't seem to be going away, let alone the electioneering that may be going on currently between the various parties on the ground. Just on the ground, if you consulted the people, why do they seem to be not wanting these portable toilets?
Well, you say the people. Who speaks for the people? 17,000 people and families have chosen to have these portable flush toilets in addition to the public toilets that are in their communities. They are also the people. The problem is that there's a fight for control in the ANC, and people like Loisa Nkotla and Andile Lili want to present themselves as the leaders of the people. And so in that internal battle in the ANC, they have to find issues to mobilize people around. And one issue they found was the portable flush toilet. And of course, they were going to be expelled from the ANC, and then the ANC got so worried about the divisions within their own ranks that they brought them back. And now somebody like Becky Cele is encouraging people to throw feces all around the place. No one needs to have a portable flush toilet if they don't want to. The point is that many people do, because public toilets often get vandalized. For example, we put R1 million worth of full flush toilets in an informal settlement recently. And you know what? Within 3 months, they were entirely vandalized. And those portable flush toilets have become so popular that when people are going back to the Eastern Cape, when they go home, as they say, ka baya goduka, they say, please can they have a portable flush toilet to take with them? Because they don't want to use the pit toilets and the unventilated pit latrines that they have to use there. So these portable flush toilets are becoming a good export item from the Western Cape to the Eastern Cape, because they're much better than what people have on the ground.
I don't have
bucket toilets.
Okay, I don't have any details on the basis that people might be taking them across. However, is this a solution?
Because people phone me all the time to ask for them.
Okay,
look, it's not a long-term solution.
Is it a long? Yeah,
it's not a long-term solution.
What are you going to do about it?
It's certainly not a long.
What are you going to do about to change the situation to improve the sanitation of those people on the ground who are still crying out for more?
Dan, the Western Cape population has grown by 46% in 15 years. That means it's also almost 50% bigger than it was. But despite the fact that the population has grown so dramatically and so quickly, we've improved the percentage of people who are getting full services. And if you look at the census, you will see that only the Western Cape is above 90% for flushing toilets. That includes a small percentage of chemical toilets. We're well over 90% for electricity to people, and we're the only province that puts electricity into informal settlements. And then we're nearly 100% for clean, accessible water. It is much, much higher than any other province, despite the fact that this province's population has grown by almost 50% in 15 years.
Do you think this year, sometime in the future, if the DA still wins the elections in the Western Cape on the 7th of May and you are brought back to power there, we'll still be having this conversation around sanitation?
Well, we will always have conversations about sanitation because the city has grown so quickly that if you think from the very first people in the Southern Cape who built their first houses in caves up till today, if we want everybody in a proper house, we will have to build just as many houses again as have been built from the very, very first settlers who moved into, and the very first people, the original first people of the Western Cape who moved into caves in the Southern Cape. We will have to build just as many houses again as have been built in all the millennia. That's how rapid the growth of the Western Cape has been. So of course it's a struggle to get good services to everybody. Of course it's a struggle to get good houses to everybody. But the point is the Western Cape under the DA government is making more progress than anywhere else. And no one has to have a portable flush toilet in their house. No one has to do that. The point is that thousands of people want them. They approach us. And then the ANC go and steal their tanks when we put them out for free services. And there's absolutely no place in the world which gives people a free portable flush toilet and services the tanks free twice a week. The ANC goes and steals people's tanks and then throws the feces everywhere to make a point that they can't sustain if you look at what they're doing in the rest of the country.
Okay. Now, Mrs. Zille, with the challenges that you are just outlining, with the population growth of about 46% in the last decade or so in the Western Cape.
15 years.
In the last 15 years. And looking ahead, your challenges are not going to lessen, as you say correctly, in the Western Cape. Housing is a problem. There's been criticism that your government is allocating housing in some of the areas according to racial lines. Is that true?
Absolutely not. We're the only province that goes according to an allocated housing database, that does it in a transparent and fair way. And when I find any corruption, I put in a forensic audit. We don't allocate houses because people have a political affiliation or a racial background. We allocate houses according to the need and according to our database.
Okay, now economic-wise, very briefly on a high level, your province, according to the ANC, has gone backwards in terms of job creation. For instance, you didn't create as many jobs as maybe you targeted. They talk about 92,000 jobs being created in the Western Cape, and that also most of the senior management roles in the Western Cape are still a preserve of white male South Africans.
You know, I really love the ANC and the way they thumb-suck information before an election. Again, they must go and look back at the census. And again, they must look at the statistics from the Statistics SA last year. In the last quarter of last year, 70% of all jobs created in the whole of South Africa were created in the Western Cape. In the whole of South Africa, the unemployment rate, broadly defined, is 34%. In the Western Cape, it's much lower, at 22%, despite the fact that so many new people have moved into this province in the last decade. So despite the fact that in the last decade we've grown by 30% of the population and over the last 15 years by 46%, unemployment is coming down. We are at 22% while the rest of the country is at 34%. That is an amazing achievement. During our term of office, we attracted 2 billion rands of direct foreign investment into the Western Cape. We put in 1.7 billion rand in training schemes. We started the youth wage subsidy program that helped many, many young people get their first job. We started an internship program. I myself take 800 young people into the provincial government every single year to help train them. Our story is extraordinary in terms of the progress we have made, but nationally, 1.4 million people more are unemployed nationally than they were when Jacob Zuma came to power and promised 5 million more jobs. That is where the failure is. Look at all of the statistics and you'll see how the DA is taking the Western Cape forward, how unemployment is falling even as the population grows so dramatically, that basic services, and they are free basic services, is escalating very rapidly despite the fact that the population is growing so much. This is an extraordinary success story.
Okay, thank you very much.
And nothing that the ANC can say will take it away from us, but we will continue to get better and better Dan, there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go, and the more the Eastern Cape and other ANC provinces collapse, the more we will continue to work hard to serve the people.
I think there's a long way to go for all of us in South Africa going forward. Thank you very much. That's the Premier of the Western Cape and DA leader, Helen Zille.
Know more about your world.
eNCA.com.